Hello and welcome to today's video. This is going to be my 2023 anticipated book releases part 2. I did already do a video like this right at the very start of the year, which had like all the books on that I was excited about at the time. Obviously 6 months have passed now, or almost 6 months, we're halfway through June, and there's more books that have been announced and there's more books that are like have real dates now rather than just months or seasons. So yeah, today I'm going to be talking about 10 books that I'm really excited about coming out. Most of these are fantasy. All of these? Oh no, not all of them. Most of them are fantasy with a couple of contemporary and a magical realism as well. These are just the books that I'm personally excited for. There's so many out there, but these are the ones that it's like almost as soon as they come out I'll be reading, and that's kind of how I do my most anticipated releases. If I'm going to read it within 3 months of it coming out, I could class that as an anticipated release. There's a lot of other books I'm excited about and I feel like I'll pick up at some point, but I'm not excited enough to pick them up straight away. So yeah, that's what we're going with, that's what we're going for. I'm going to be doing this in order of release date. These are the release dates according to Goodreads as of the day I'm filming. These could obviously change, but as of right now this is in release date order. I will insert a picture of the book up here when I'm talking about it, so you'll be able to visually see what it looks like. That is pretty much it. So yeah, I do apologise about the lighting. The sun cannot decide what it wants to do today and it just keeps changing, so right now it doesn't look too bad, but yeah, it just can't decide what it wants to do. So let's just go through and talk about the books, because that's what we're really here for. Hopefully you don't mind the lighting too much. So the first book that I'm excited for comes out on the 25th of July, and that is Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. This is the first book in a new series by the author called Flesh and False Gods, and yeah, honestly I'm just so excited for it. I'm personally a massive Chloe Gong fan. I've read everything that she's currently published, I believe, so I'm really excited for this new series. I'm definitely waiting to see like what's coming out when, in terms of what I'm purchasing, because I feel like there will be a few special editions for this, but I don't know. And honestly, personally, I prefer the US cover than the UK, and obviously I'm in the UK, so if there are any special editions going, I'd rather grab them. So haven't pre-ordered yet, but right now this is our synopsis. Every year, thousands in the Kingdom of Tallinn will flock to its capital twin cities, h.eather, where the palace hosts sets of games. For those confident enough in their ability to jump between bodies, competitors across h.eather fight to the death to win unimaginable riches. And then, I'm not going to read the entire synopsis for each book, but it looks like we've basically got a princess, someone who's exiled, and another person, and they're going to be competing in this thing. So yeah, really excited for it, really want to know what's going on. Not really much more to say, it's a new series, I know next to nothing about it, but I like going into the night though. Then on the 6th of September, Lights is coming out. This is the third release in the graphic novel series Sheets by Greta Thumler, and I'm so excited for this one. If you haven't read Sheets, which is the first graphic novel in the series, in Sheets we follow Marjorie, who feels like a ghost and is 13 years old and running the family laundromat, and then we meet Wendell, who is a ghost, and Wendell and Marjorie's worlds collide. Book 2 expands upon that even more, and then book 3, it looks like it's going to expand upon that even more as well. So obviously I'm not going to put the synopsis in because I don't want to potentially spoil the first 2 books, but this is the 3rd book and the final book in the trilogy. I'm so intrigued to see how it's going to come out. Without reading the synopsis from the cover, I'm assuming it's going to take place in some sort of like theatre or play, because we are seeing like that light on the cover. Hopefully you can see it there right now, but except for that I feel like I don't really know what it's going to be about. I'm just really excited. It's one of my favourite graphic novel series and it's just so good. Then on the 14th of September we have The Last Devil to Die. This is the 4th book in the Thursday Murder Club series. I do believe we're getting at least one more book in this series, so it's not the final one. But yeah, this is the 4th book. We obviously not going to tell you the synopsis again because it is the 4th book. What I will tell you is even though it's coming out in September, I don't think I'm going to read this one until December because it takes place on Boxing Day by the looks of it. So I think I might actually like read it on Boxing Day myself. Like Boxing Day is normally a very chill day, like probably will see family at some point, but nothing that requires real social interaction. So I think, yeah, I might save it till Boxing Day to read. But if you haven't read The Thursday Murder Club, which is book 1 in the series, firstly, I really think you should. I really recommend. It's got very British humour in it and very interesting characters that you just really become invested in, and also these weird and interesting cases that you're trying to solve along with them. So we have Elizabeth, Joyce, Ibrahim and Ron, and they meet up every Thursday in the jigsaw room. They all live in this retirement village, and every Thursday when they go to this jigsaw room, they actually take it over to solve cold cases. They get police files and they're trying to solve these cold cases, and then very quickly into the first book, a murder happens right on their doorstep and they're trying to weave their way into an active investigation to help solve the crime. And it's just as fun as it sounds. Like, it's so good. I'd really recommend. Every book has just been amazing. Obviously I've read the first 3 books that are in this series and I just can't recommend them enough. I will say I have heard negative things. It's not a series that like everyone loves. I don't think I've heard any like British person not love it, and the negatives I've heard about it are to do with the humour and not understanding that. So I feel like that could be why, like it could be like that could be the reason, because there is like a difference in humour and a humour barrier. Like it's very dry and very witty and very quick. And yeah, really great. Really can't wait for book 4 to come out. Then on the 26th of September, the only author to make it on this list twice, I believe, is another Chloe Gong book. This is Foul Heart Huntsman. This is the 2nd book in the Foul Lady Fortune duology, and I can't wait. It's going to be the final book. I believe it's also going to be the final book in the like entire world. I'm pretty sure that was said on Instagram. Like there's no more books in this like Shanghai series. Personally, I know that you can start at Foul Lady Fortune and just read that duology, but I'd personally recommend reading it all. And if you are going to read it all, then you want to start with These Violent Delights so you don't get spoiled. So These Violent Delights is a Romeo and Juliet retelling. And we follow Juliet and Roma, who are part of 2 rival gangs across Shanghai. But there's also a fantasy element with I don't actually know when you find out what the fantasy element is, so I'm just going to keep it quiet. But it's a fantasy book. It's a fantasy retelling. There are things going on. After the These Violent Delights duology, then you have the Foul Lady Fortune duology, as well as a short story collection that is a short story that you kind of need to have read both These Violent Delights and Foul Lady Fortune to fully appreciate the short story collection and everything that it gives. So yeah, that is where I'd recommend starting. I'm so excited for Foul Heart Huntsman. It is the most confusing title, Foul Heart Huntsman, but yeah, really excited for it. Can't wait to continue on, see what's happening with these characters, see how we're going to solve the issue, and I just know it's going to be great. Then on the 10th of October we have Sword Catcher coming out. That is by Cassandra Clare. I have never read a non-Shadow Hunter Cassandra Clare book. I don't think there are any. If there are, like, I'm just not aware of them. But this is a new series that is coming out completely separate from the Shadowhunter world. Now don't get me wrong, like I'm still intrigued by the Shadowhunter world. I read the first 2 series in it when I was younger and I've reread them now and they're still fine. They don't do the same as they did when I read them when I was an actual teenager, but they're still fine. And I am continuing on with that. Like I've read the Bane Chronicles and I've got other books to keep going, but I just don't find it as intriguing as younger Heather did, so it's not a priority at all. Whereas this, I feel like it's new, it's going to be like newer writing, it's going to, you know, hopefully have a lot to do with it. So all that we really know is that there's a vibrant city-state where the richest of nobles and the most debauched of criminals have one thing in common: the constant search for wealth, power and the next hedonistic thrill. Kel is an orphan but is also a body double for the prince. Lynn is one of the Ashka a small community who still possesses magic, and there's some sort of failed assassination that brings these characters together. I'm very intrigued, very excited. I don't want to set my hopes too high, but I am very intrigued and really want to know what this is about. I feel like it's one where if book 1 is amazing, I will 100% continue with the series further. If book 1 isn't amazing, I'll probably just call it quits. Like, you need to know when time's time. But for now, everything I've heard about it so far, looking pretty good. Then, coming on the 31st of October, we have A Fire in the Flesh. This is the final book in the Flesh and Fire series, which is a prequel series to the From Blood and Ash series. I can't tell you anything about this in case you want to read Blood and Ash. You can read this series completely separately from Blood and Ash. You don't need to read it as a prequel series, you can just read it as it is. Honestly, I might recommend that, I don't know. I'm really enjoying this prequel series. I'm not really enjoying From Blood and Ash as a series, to be quite honest. But the prequel series I'm finding really good, and I really just want to read the final book. I want to see where things are going. I know bits and pieces because from Blood and Ash you know some things that have happened in the past, but overall, I don't really know what's going to happen. I'm really intrigued to figure out how we get to the point that I at least know or think we're going to get to. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. I'm not even going to tell you the synopsis of the first book in the series, just because I don't want to risk spoilers. Like, the worst thing is getting spoiled by someone else, and I don't want to be that person, but it is a book that I'm really, really excited for, and I will definitely be reading as soon as. Then on the 7th of November, we have Bookshops and Bone Dust. This is a prequel to Legends and Lattes. Legends and Lattes is like one of my favourite books, I think. Well, definitely one of the top books I've read this year. It was so good. It's a proper cozy fantasy, and it just does it so well. So yeah, I don't believe that there's a certain order that you need to read it in. I believe you can read it in any order. In Bookshops and Bone Dust, we're once again following the same main character, Viv. This is a prequel, so it happened before Legends and Lattes, and Viv is wounded and is basically going to, I believe, work, or at least spend a lot of time in a bookshop, and we're just going to get the adventure from another small cozy town that Viv is enjoying living in. So that's the entire premise of the book. I feel like it's going to be cozy vibes. There are other characters on the cover, which I'm really excited to meet. I loved the characters that we met in Legends and Lattes so much, like all the side characters. They all had like such big personalities, and you really could tell who they were. So I'm really excited to get that same vibe from this one as well, and I can't wait for it to come out. Then on the 9th of November, we have Heartstopper Volume 5. It has now been announced that this won't be the final volume. It is the second to last volume, and yeah, we're just going to continue on with the story. I think this might be catching up with the Nick and Charlie novella that we've got. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen in Volume 5, but I think we're kind of catching up with that timeline that we've already seen there. I won't tell you much about this if you haven't read any Heartstopper at all. Volume 1, the back of Volume 1 simply says, boy meets boy. Boys become friends, boys fall in love. It is a very sweet, very lovely contemporary novel about love and friendship, but it also tackles some more serious topics the further on you get into the series, but it does it in a very easy and approachable way. So yeah, I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to continue on with the next volume. Then on the 14th of November, we have Before We Say Goodbye. This is the 4th book in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series. This book has been out a while, but the 14th of November is the day that the English translation comes out. So if you live somewhere else in the world, there might already be a translation out of this book. You may have already read it, but the 14th of November is the day that the English translation will come out. This is the 4th book in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series. I have currently only read book 1 and 2. I'm waiting to get my hands on book 3, which I definitely will have done before November. I'm not worried that I won't have caught up by then. But yeah, it is essentially a coffee shop in Tokyo, and if you sit in a certain chair and have a certain order, you can travel in time in a very specific way with a lot of rules and a lot of constructs. That means you can't affect anything at all. You can just do it for your own benefit kind of thing, and that's the very basics of it. I don't want to give too much away, but it's very sweet, very lovely, and it's that all the books are a load of short stories. You know some of the characters better than others because the coffee shop workers themselves are obviously in every book, but sometimes you follow a worker, sometimes you follow just a random person, sometimes you follow someone who's heard about the shop and specifically is wanting to come there for a purpose. So many different stories, but they're just really, really lovely, and they're just tiny little things and you learn tiny little lessons from them, and they're just amazing. So yeah, I can't wait to continue on with the series. And then last but certainly not least, one of the most exciting ones is System Collapse. This is the 7th book in the Murderbot Diaries series, the first book being All Systems Red. Right now there isn't a lot of information known about it. We just know that we're continuing on from a certain book. It tells we're following the events of another book in the series, so that's all I really know about it. If you haven't read All Systems Red, which is the first one, it is about Murderbot. Murderbot is a sec unit who has hacked into its own like controls to be able to, if it wanted to, not do its job, but it does pretend to do its job, and it just likes to watch TV shows. It's hacked into its own unit so it can watch TV, but obviously more happens than just that. And it's a very cool world. We meet lots of different people, but in every book we are primarily following Murderbot and seeing what Murderbot is getting up to. And Murderbot is the name it's decided for itself and what it likes to be called, but it's also kind of a secret. Yeah, you learn so much throughout the books. This is book 7. There's so much that's happened, there's so much that's gone on, and I can't wait to continue with the series. That is it. Those are the 10 books that I'm so super excited for to come out this year. The 10 books that I just can't wait to get my hands on and read and consume and see them. So yeah, I do hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that maybe you found a new book, or if there's a book that you're excited for that you think I might be excited for also, do let me know down below. Do give the video a like if you liked it, subscribe down below if you'd like to see more content like this, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye!